A strange thing happens when people buy a car. The price suddenly stops mattering. Instead, the only question becomes, what's the monthly payment? Not the total cost, not the interest, not the long-term impact, just the payment. $400 a month, $600 a month, maybe $800, and somehow that feels manageable. But this simple shift in thinking creates one of the most powerful financial illusions in modern life. Because when you stop thinking about price and start thinking about payments, you stop buying cars and you start buying debt. Imagine you walk into a dealership. You see a car priced at $42,000. Your brain reacts instantly. $42,000 feels expensive. Your mind starts calculating. Maybe you hesitate. Maybe you reconsider. But the salesperson doesn't focus on that number. Instead, they ask a different question. What monthly payment are you comfortable with? And suddenly, the conversation changes. Instead of thinking about $42,000, you're thinking about $650 a month. And psychologically, those two numbers feel completely different, even though they represent the same purchase. That's the illusion. Your brain isn't wired to process large totals easily, but it's very comfortable with monthly expenses, so the real cost fades into the background, and the payment becomes the story. Monthly payments feel small, they feel temporary, they feel manageable. But what most people don't realize is that the payment isn't the cost. It's just the cost sliced into pieces, sometimes very expensive pieces. A $650 payment for 72 months doesn't feel like a $46,800 car, but that's exactly what it is. And once interest enters the picture, it's often even more. The payment hides the real number, which is exactly why the system works so well. Now, something interesting happens. Once people accept the monthly payment mindset, they start upgrading because the difference between cars suddenly feels small. Maybe the basic model is $520 per month, but the upgraded version, only $580. For just $60 more, you get leather seats, better sound system, bigger screen. It feels like a small decision, but that extra $60 doesn't exist for 1 month. It exists for 6 years. That small upgrade quietly becomes $4,300 more. But the brain doesn't see it that way. It just sees $60. But even that isn't the real problem. The real cost of car payments isn't the payment, it's the opportunity cost. Imagine someone pays $600 a month for a car. That's $7,200 every year. Over 6 years, that's $43,200. But what if that money had been invested instead? Even with modest returns, that same amount invested over time could grow dramatically. Now imagine repeating that cycle every few years. New car, new payment, new loan, decade after decade. Many people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on car payments throughout their lifetime, and yet it rarely feels that large, because they never see the total, only the monthly slice. There's another reason car payments feel harmless. Everyone has them. It's normal. Friends have them. Coworkers have them. Family members have them. Entire industries are built around them. So psychologically, it feels like part of adult life. Graduate, get a job, get a car payment, upgrade every few years. Repeat. But normal doesn't always mean smart. Sometimes it just means common, and common financial behaviors don't always lead to uncommon financial results. Here's where things get interesting. Car payments don't usually ruin people overnight. They're too slow for that. Instead, they quietly drain wealth over time. $500 here, $600 there, month after month, year after year. And because the payment becomes part of the routine, people stop noticing it. It becomes background noise, like a subscription you forgot about, except this one costs thousands every year. If you look closely at households that build real wealth, you often notice something surprising. They keep cars longer, they upgrade less frequently, and many avoid payments entirely, not because they hate cars, but because they understand something simple. Cars are tools, not investments, and expensive tools financed with interest can quietly consume enormous amounts of money that could have been building something else. The most powerful shift isn't avoiding cars, it's changing the way you think about them. Instead of asking, "What's the monthly payment?" ask a different question. What is the total cost of this decision? Because when you bring the full number back into focus, the illusion disappears. Suddenly, the decision becomes clearer. Suddenly, upgrades feel bigger. Suddenly, the purchase becomes more intentional. Here's the part many people don't expect. When you remove a large monthly payment from your life, something interesting happens. Your financial stress drops. Your flexibility increases. Your options expand. Because every dollar that isn't locked into a payment is a dollar that can move, a dollar that can invest, a dollar that can build something else. Car payments aren't evil. Cars are useful, sometimes necessary, but the illusion surrounding them is very powerful. Because once the focus shifts from price to payment, the real cost disappears from view. And when costs disappear, overspending becomes easy. So the question worth asking next time you see a new car isn't, "Can I afford the payment?" It's something much simpler. What is this decision actually costing me? Because once you see the full number, the illusion loses its power.